Welcome to the Confessions of an IT Business Owner podcast, where we believe that healthy cash flow is critical for your IT business. Automation is paramount, and building trust with your clients by looking professional will help grow your business. I'm your host, Ryan Goodman, and today you'll learn about some profound struggles related to owning and growing an IT services franchise business and how Dan Shapero from TeamLogicIT IT overcomes them.
For us, it's how do you take work from home or cybersecurity as a go-to-market and then package that up and a franchise model. So we'll go through everything from what are the tools, what are the systems, who are the vendors, what training is required. We'll think all that through on behalf of the couple hundred locations, and then we communicate that out and train on it. And after about 101 times, we get it right.
Here is the podcast with Dan. Well, hey, everybody, Ryan Goodman here, president of ConnectBooster. I am lucky enough to be joined by Dan Shapero, the president of TeamLogic IT. Dan, I said your last name right. Did I or did I not?
Did a great job. That's
right.
Despite all the spellos in there from the Customs Bureau, you did a fantastic job. Happy to be here, Ryan.
No, I appreciate your time. I know you're a busy man, and prior to our recording, we were talking about their busy week and the success that their organization has been seeing. So again, it just means that much more. Thank you for spending the time.
My pleasure.
So we know, you're a veteran of the IT services industry and the MSP services industry, and I would love to just get a little bit of your story and how did you land here as the president of TeamLogic IT?
Well, I appreciate you calling me a veteran. I think Jay McBain once called me a barnacle of the IT services industry. So much rather be the veteran. I've been doing IT, or I should say technology startups most of my career. We were talking earlier in Fargo, and I used to work with a company that was a competitor to Great Plains, an anchor tech company in your community, a company called Platinum Software Corporation. And over the years, I always had a finger in one technology or another. There's a company called Vicinity that did wound up being Microsoft Maps today, another company called Avamar that's part of EMC in the business continuity space. And it's always a career in technology. Well, back in about 2004, three guys in a Dodge Caravan pulled up to, I was at a hotel in Hilton in San Jose, California.
Okay.
It was a Yahoo 10th anniversary party, now that I mentioned, and it was the guys from Kaseya. And the door opens up and they just say, "Get in." So I get in. I was expecting to meet these guys, but I didn't expect it to seem like a hijack. So I got in the back, and we went to a pizza parlor, and we put together a program where I helped them grow the business. And that was back in 2004, and eventually came on board with the company in charge of global marketing, and eventually was responsible for bringing their software as a service platform to market. It accounts for most of their clients today. Well, it just happened to be that TeamLogic also was a Kaseya customer, and the founder of our franchise, guy by the name of Chuck Lennon, the two of us met at a CompTIA board meeting. We both were brand new board members. We flew out on the same plane together. We somehow recognized that we must both be in the same industry by some logo on each other's backpack or whatever. And we lived in the same little town, so we just always kept in contact. And then over the years, Chuck decided that he was going to move back east, and I got this phone call out of the blue that he wanted to know if I'd be interested in taking on this role. And here I am today. That was 2.5 years ago, from the back of the Chrysler minivan to here at TeamLogic IT, one of the world's largest managed service providers, and just happy to be on that roller coaster all along the way.
That's an awesome story. And Dan, I would say I would not just give out a general recommendation of, hey, always jump in that van. But I think we're all glad you did that day.
Yeah, at that point in time, right, defied everything my mom ever told me not to
Right.
do, and
Right.
yeah, and here I am.
Dude, that's awesome. That is such a great story. That is cool. So TeamLogic IT, if you could give, all of us listening today, 100,000 foot view of what you guys are, I know we'd all appreciate that a ton.
Yeah, so we're a nationwide IT managed service provider. So everything we do is based on the managed services model, whether it's cloud, IT service, or whether it's cybersecurity solutions. We bake that into fully managed flat fee subscription based service for primarily small to medium businesses. So our sweet spot would be companies with about 30 employees. So we're not the big client base, but we definitely don't go after the small office, home office either. Although we
Sure.
are seeing, and we do have some national accounts on board. Now that we have over 200 locations nationwide, we can do boots on the ground or supplemental IT or provide support with our platform to IT organizations where they might have a undergunned who doesn't have an undergunned IT shop these days. So
Right.
that's a little bit about the market. I mean, we're across most industry verticals. Whether it's business services, architecture, construction, engineering, could be creative services, health services, financial accounting, manufacturing, distribution, not-for-profit.
Yeah.
There's probably not a problem we've seen, a company, an industry we haven't supported, and a problem we haven't fixed along the way.
Well, and I'm sure there's just so much power in that franchise model and being able to share those experiences amongst franchisees.
Well, I'm particularly proud of our network and their ability to go do that. They operate kind of like an extended family, and so just this week, as many of the listeners might remember, that Microsoft bestowed upon us an update to Outlook, and crashed. I don't know unless you were a Mac user running on a Surface tab, you couldn't get access to your email. And our Bay Area owners consortium, they have a little kind of like a meetup group, and they email back and forth with one
Right.
another. They had solved the problem, root cause, solved the problem, and automated the resolution for one another inside of about an hour, probably about 2 hours before Microsoft announced on their bulletin board that they had it fixed. Just an example
Yeah.
of the power of the network.
Man, talk about a great case study right there. I mean, boom.
Right there, yeah. And we joke and say, well, thank you, Microsoft gave us something to do. It's a good way for us to show value out to our clients, right?
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. So franchise, my mind as a layman goes, oh, McDonald's, oh, burger, and
Sure.
other models, right? And you guys are a franchise in the MSP community. How does that work inside of the MSP community?
Well, for us, it works really well. And I think that there's a couple things you need to understand about franchising and then understand about our franchise.
Mm-hmm.
So franchising is a regulated industry, and it takes a lot to support a brand, just as far as compliance with the regulations and how we would normally do business as a franchise network. Now we're what we would call a soft franchise, partly because we're business to business, but partly because in the IT world, if somebody just made a big investment in a firewall, maybe that's not our standard. You can't say no. You have to roll up your sleeves and support it. So in that
Right.
regard, we're what I would call a soft franchise. Now, if you think of franchising, you might think of something, hospitality or retail related, and with nationally advertised pricing. And that's not the way that we know managed services doesn't really work that way. So instead of setting the fryer to 3 minutes or cross-selling a Happy Meal or Impossible Burger, that type of a thing, for us, it's how do you take work from home or cybersecurity as a go-to-market and then package that up in a franchise and a franchise model. So we'll go through everything from what are the tools, what are the systems, who are the vendors, what training is required, how do we support it in the long run, even if there's a SKU that you want to have in your PSA, your professional services app for tracking the revenue, we'll think all that through on behalf of the couple hundred locations, and then we communicate that out and train on it. And after about 101 times, we get it right. So yeah, so for example, cybersecurity, we knew that not every company could afford the NIST framework, so we had to package it up. What would a 30-person company need? And we already had pretty good level of perimeter protection in our managed service offering to begin with, but we recognized employee was the weakest link. So we bundled up branded employee awareness training and a few other ongoing monitoring, dark web monitoring, and a couple other archiving and encryption things that you couldn't get out of bed to go sell, but if you bundle them all together, you could maybe price it or package it at a higher level in the market, or at least rest well at night knowing that you've done what you can to protect your clients from the bad guys. So, we put that together, then we put together a marketing system behind it. So whether it's pay-per-click or whether it is landing pages, videos on the website, collateral that's required. We even, for cybersecurity as an example, put together an employee awareness poster that you can put out in the lunchroom. So all of that good stuff to support the go-to-market. So yeah, it's how it's maybe a little bit different than putting a little sign up at the counter that says, "Would you like an apple pie with your Big Mac?" or run a jingle and hope it drives demand. It's a little bit different in the managed services industry for sure.
Well, and you really did an awesome job of hitting two questions in a row there, because my next was, what do your franchisees get out of that relationship? And you just nailed it. And I think it's really cool to see that model, drive down through, because I think anyone looking to scale a business, they're trying to put those things together, and you just laid out, hey guys, here's a roadmap,
Well, and you can do that on your own as a managed service provider. Don't get me wrong, right? You could go out and find a marketing toolkit, and you can go out and join a peer group, and you can, talk to the vendor who's got the platform with all the brandable assets and all of that. And that, part of it will take time. But I don't want to make it sound like we do it all for our franchisees. I really feel the secret sauce in there is, unlike a peer group, all of our franchisees operate under this with the same platform, with the same brand and identity, with the same marketing system, but they also have defined territories. So where you might have global domination in mind as a managed service provider, our franchisees recognize that they're part of this extended family and they're already part of that national network. So they really work with one another well, like an extended family would. And I would say over the last 3 or 4 months, that's really kept the positive energy and that vibe going in our network. We supported one another, we cared for one another, we were concerned about one another all the way through. We kept it was our job to keep the conversation going and the communications channels open, but it was their job to share their stories and their passion and their enthusiasm. And a typical franchisee, they're coming out of corporate America, some way always wanted to run their own business, and they opened up a franchise. And it could have been a pizza shop or an Ace Hardware store, but it turned out to be, a TeamLogic. And many of them have IT backgrounds to begin with. So it's a high caliber group of franchisees, and like I said, they care about each other like family, and that's our value system internally, and that just goes a long way.
Yeah, that's awesome. Hey guys, Ryan Goodman here, president at ConnectBooster and your host for this fine podcast. We want to take a quick break from our episode and thank you for listening. We wouldn't do this if it weren't for you, so thank you for sticking with us on this adventure. We also want to thank Dan for joining us on today's episode. You can find out more about Dan and TeamLogic IT at TeamLogicIT.com. Dan has given us a lot of fantastic information about his success with owning and being a part of an IT business franchise organization. And there's a lot more coming after this break. If you want to learn more about TeamLogicIT IT and their services, give them a call, send an email, throw a carrier pigeon if you have to. They want to help you out. Before we get back to the episode, we want to let you know all the ways you can find us online, starting with ConnectBooster.com/podcast. That's where all our new episodes go up first. So if you want to listen right away, check out ConnectBooster.com/podcast and sign up for our podcast email list. Episodes are available on iTunes, Spotify, and Google as well. So subscribe to our channel or find us on your favorite podcast platform, and they'll let you know when new episodes are ready to listen to. If you want to connect with us or be a guest on the podcast, email us at podcast@connectbooster.com or send us a message on Facebook or Twitter and we'll point you in the right direction. Lastly, if you like the podcast, tweet about it using the hashtag #ITConfessions. We don't pay to promote the show, so sharing the show is the best way to let us know how you like it. Thanks again for listening to the Confessions of an IT Business Owner. We'll get back to the podcast and talk to you soon. I'm going to get a little bit in the weeds with you here on my next question,
Sure.
But I think it's of interest, for people that are listening to this. And I have to imagine it's a question that they're asking, if someone's interested in having a conversation with you and your team, what type of commitments do they make to you guys as the franchisor? I mean, is that, I'm sure there's contractual commitments. Are there certain growth commitments? What does that look like as a framework for someone brand new coming on board?
Yeah. So if I could share all those details with you, I would have to what's called disclose you because we are a regulated industry. And then it's a document about yay thick, and that's our commitment to the franchisee as well as their commitment to us. So it includes things like commitment to investing in marketing, for an example.
Sure.
Committing to hiring and certifying a technician. A commitment to adhering to some technical as well as business standards. All of that is part of the program. There's financial commitments that go along with it because you're honoring the brand in a defined territory. And then there's our commitment back to the franchisee when it comes to the type of support we provide, how our marketing platform and systems work. So it's, there are a lot of details, but if you were interested, I would have to give you the document, have you sign and acknowledge that you accepted it, and then we'll talk in 2 weeks.
Yeah,
that's how that goes. And by the way, that would be Chuck would talk to you in 2 weeks. Chuck Lennon he's our executive vice president of franchise development, and he drives all the engagement with his team when it comes to franchise development, recruitment and onboarding of the brand new franchisee.
Cool. In fact, I had a chance a couple years back at a DattoCon to meet with Chuck and Andy Hackett, who's up in the Northeast, and a couple of just great guys, and had a lot of fun just talking shop and business experience. So that's cool.
Yeah, you get a flavor of the passion and enthusiasm when you talk to the Hacketts, for example.
Okay.
Of getting yourself ready, and that. So there's a lot. You got to remember, we're in the franchise world, we're in the managed service world, but we're also in the startup world as well. So we'll do 40 new businesses a year, helping them start everything from articles of incorporation to getting a lease, to setting up bank accounts, to getting insurance. I mean, all that stuff has to happen. Don't forget, hire a tech, get all the marketing going, which we assist in. But the owners are the owners; they're separate legal entities. So we are there to support and assist and provide the framework. And that's just part of it's a franchising, a very interesting relationship, very long-term relationship. That's very unique in the business world. Now, I'm new to franchising, 2.5 years new. So, but worked in tech my whole career. But it's a fascinating model, and I will have to tell you, from what I've been told, I mean, it was working very well for us as a franchise, and what I do know is working very well for us as a managed service provider.
Absolutely. And I think, as an entrepreneur, gosh, it can be lonely at the top. And one of those big challenges, you guys have eliminated that. I mean, you talked about this crazy 3-month period and the way that your
Yes.
organization was able to support each other. I mean, uh, just that alone just speaks volumes of the value.
Yeah, we created these town hall groups during the throes of everybody staying at home, and we just kept the cadence going with
Mhm.
the groups of franchisees, and that helped us not only in gauging what the needs were, because we all know things were just kind of unfolding before our eyes, but it also kept spirits high, that
Yeah,
we were all communicating. And one of the first documents we kicked out was how to do a safe site visit.
sure.
Everything from wearing wearing PPE to not visiting a site, for giving 2 weeks before you visit, or only visiting upon when it's essential. But
Sure.
then we put together the marketing system for remote workforce. We put together a solutions guide. What vendors would you need, whether it was unified communications or
Hmm.
VPN firewall, all the things that we were all scrambling around to go set up. Our ticket counts were at all-time high when it
Right.
came to inbound, but at the same time, we all wound up keeping our ticket counts low. So that was all just part of what we all had to go through over that period of time. We even, I think I got one handy, even wound up, I couldn't help but brand the
Yeah, that's
face
great.
masks.
All
Just
right.
know that about me, folks. I'll put my logo on anything of importance. That's just how that goes. So we made a point to support. I mean, just even lining up the supply chain was important to our
Right.
franchisees.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Um, you had mentioned, you talked from decision to getting into academy. I mean, that's in my mind, that's moving. You guys are clipping along, and they're ready to start doing business. And I think that's, I mean, the model. You have so much of the the technical and legal, ready to A, B,
Yes.
C, D lined up.
Now, no, we have a heritage, so that's part of it, right? So my group, TeamLogic, is part of a group under a franchise services umbrella that includes other brands you may have heard of, Sir Speedy, Postal
Yeah.
Instant Press. There's also
Yeah.
European brand Multicopy, and EastNet in Asia Pac, all under that same holding company now, or under that corporate structure.
Yeah.
Then that corporate structure, and by the way, the print group is that business unit's been around almost 50 years, and then the over 50 years, and then the now over 50 years since I've been here, they celebrated the anniversary. Come to think of it, and
Wow.
that's part of a parent company, which is Campgrounds of America, KOA. You
Yeah. Yeah.
probably
Yeah.
have a few KOAs in your area. It was a way for people to get across the country and have like a family camping experience, Campgrounds of America. So we're
Yeah.
part of that Campground of America holding group, which started it all, the mother of all of our franchises, I guess is a way to look at it. So that's a lot of years of franchise
Oh yeah.
experience. And
Oh yeah.
just in our group alone, I think we tallied over 500 years of franchise experience,
Wow.
let alone the years and years and years of 100+ years or more of IT experience under the roof. So it's quite a combination to do it, but that's in part it's the people that make us successful.
Yeah, absolutely. Most valuable asset. Wow, thank you for all that information. That's a really cool deep
Sure,
dive into the org as a whole. And I was just thinking we have a Sir Speedy in town here too as
I'll
well.
bet you
So
do.
yeah.
There's hundreds of them all around.
So I'm going to shift gears just a little bit.
Sure.
You had mentioned some of the tools that you guys use inside of the organization. How critical is automation inside of the success of your franchisees?
It is a key to profitability, that's for sure. So first of all, it's automation, and then integration. So,
Hmm.
and then the standards. So our platform standard, Kaseya, is our remote monitoring and management
Sure.
platform. And then we're also high adoption rate of IT Glue, and
Hmm.
then also Autotask. And so that's our
Yeah.
kind of the core managed service platform that we operate on. The fact that every office uses that same system gives us a lot of capability when it comes to ramp up for the new franchisees,
Right.
but also when it comes to capacity management with labor. That standard there provides us the ability to, whether it's for skills, whether it's for capacity, or maybe it's for geographic proximity, because we're all on that same platform, I can open a ticket here in Mission Viejo. That's how we say it, Mission Viejo, California.
Yeah.
And I could do a truck roll in Phoenix, Arizona, just by opening that ticket. And our owners have a way of accounting and billing for all of that and managing the ticket flow across those locations. Then automation is key as well. So whether that's how we do discovery to onboard the clients, or how we use policy management in order to patch and manage and monitor backup, antivirus, et cetera, all of that provides labor efficiencies. And as we all know, the hardest thing in the business is finding the good technicians, any
Right.
technician, let alone the good technician. So
Right.
there's always that labor challenge. So if you can get better productivity out of your technician pool, then at the end of the day, you'll have what we would call higher net owners comp. Yeah, and I would say from a maturity standpoint, when we benchmark our owners against other industry benchmark data that's out there, we tend to outperform based on the measurement of operational maturity. So a less mature franchise in our network might be more profitable than their industry counterpart, for example.
Right.
So that's just what the information shows to us.
That makes sense. So what do you guys envision for the future of TeamLogic IT? I know that's a really broad question. You know, even if we parse that down, we've dealt through some really unexpected, strange times. I mean, how has that affected even maybe the outlook and approach of the business in the next 2 to 5 years?
Well, yeah. So, I always say from an outlook standpoint, I'll call it cautiously optimistic
Sure.
about our growth. We have, touch wood, been able to not stay on the growth trajectory that we thought we would be on, but we are on a growth trajectory nonetheless. We've been identified as a recession-proof business.
Yeah.
So that's been good for the demand for opening up new locations. And when I look at from a financials perspective, full disclosure, I'm a CPA, so I'm a numbers guy at heart. Is that our growth rate has remained strong by most standards, even though it might be off from our plans. So we're still continuing to grow. We saw good customer retention through all of this, and more than half of our revenue is subscription-based monthly recurring revenue. So all that revenue is pretty well protected as a whole. So all of that, that's just sort of the blocking and tackling. I wish I had a real crystal ball. I have a little, this is one of those times in the world where you've always wanted a crystal ball, and you kind of sort of have one. You can see, whether it's nation by nation, what's going on in Europe or in Asia, and look what's going on in the US, or we could even look at what's going on in certain either counties, cities, or it might be states, what's going on, to see how our companies or how our businesses going back to work. We recognize that not every business will go back the same, and not every office is going to go back to work the same. We have doors on our offices. If we had all cubicles, we'd probably be needing to work in shifts, or have to rearrange things. So that, I think that that's just the reality, that that we have to face. So, for our franchisees, we put together a back to work guide where they could tailor it to help them figure out how to bring their employees back safely and how to execute marketing programs and sales tactics under this new normal on all. When it comes to, opportunity for our network, just near term. And hey, I've been in tech long enough to know that 18 months is a good long time and everything will be different, right?
That's
just
truth.
the world. That's the world we live in. And it's even gotten shorter. I would say, looking at our cybersecurity initiatives, that seemed like a 9-month window.
Sure.
And with work from home, that seemed like a 9-week window. How quickly, cloud adoption increased, how quickly people decided to keep employees at home, and we had to rethink security strategies, or adoption of unified communication, cloud-based phone systems. And we also see the opportunity for co-managed IT. So our national footprint lends itself, and our standards lends itself to aiding those larger, the larger corporations that have IT function, IT staff, a little out of what we would normally say our sweet spot. But when we're managing over 60,000 devices, across the nation, right? That's a big IT shop all in itself. When you look at numbers like that and the platform we have, and you go into a company that maybe has, the 2 to 50 IT personnel, and they can't physically get to the locations, or they don't have all the skills on their bench, they don't have the standards in place, and they certainly don't have the awesome RMM or ticketing or documentation system that we have. We look pretty good to that. So we're starting to see more and more of those opportunities. So that's why, again, I'm optimistic, but I'd say so with caution, Ryan. Who knows what's right around the corner?
Very true.
Under these times, right?
Right. Agreed. From all things considered, the future sounds bright, my friend. Future sounds bright.
Yes. Where's my sunglasses? I got to get them on.
That's awesome. So for those of you listening, to give you guys context of time frame here, this is a Friday afternoon. I have 2 more questions for you. And again, respecting that it's Friday afternoon for you. So again, thanks again for just your time.
I got a classroom of uni candidates waiting for me to review their business plan. So I'm eager to get to it, but have ample time for you today.
Cool. Awesome. So where can individuals interested in learning more about TeamLogic IT, where should they go to get information? Where specifically should they be looking to contact you?
Well, thanks for that ask. So the best thing to do would be to visit TeamLogicIT.com, and you'll see high to the right, if I remember correctly, a little blue button that says franchise is available. Click on that link and it'll get you started for that process. It's that simple.
Awesome. Very simple. And this is one I ask everyone, my final question. And so I'm certainly going to tee it up to you. Dan, if you were able to see yourself, talk to yourself 20, 30 years ago as a younger Dan, what advice would you impart upon yourself, knowing what you know right now?
It's kind of a funny question because I got one of those. I got a couple of fine young men that they were boys and now they're men. And one in particular, my youngest son's in the IT industry. He runs marketing for a startup called Itopia out of Miami in the cloud services space, right? So I get to give him all kinds of advice all the time. Usually it goes something like, don't forget to get options everywhere you go, young man. And, sometimes because he's doing things that I would have done as you wear so many different hats when you start a company. Sometimes it's the tactics, sometimes it's the strategies. But, in sincerity, the one piece of advice I would take from my dad, and he passed it along to me, which is always understand and always ask why. Why are we doing what are we doing? Why are we doing this? What is the purpose? What's your purpose? So when you're starting off, whether it's your managed services business or whether you're starting off on any other business venture or even a new hobby, find out, or a task at work, a role or responsibility. What's expected? Why am I doing this? So if you always ask the why, the how will come. So
Yeah.
that would be my advice from rest in peace from my dad.
Well, that's awesome, Dan. I appreciate that insight, and obviously brilliant advice. I mean, to the point, books have been written on it and businesses structured
For
around
sure.
it. That's awesome. That is incredible.
Yeah, and he wasn't quite around before the printing press, but
Yeah.
there's just probably learned it from his dad too.
We'll call it experience.
You learn that over time. Comes with
That's
the gray
awesome.
hairs.
That's awesome.
All right.
Dan, thanks again for being with us today. I appreciate your time,
For
and
sure.
I really enjoyed this conversation. Thanks again.
I did too. Big virtual handshake to you out there, elbows and all.
You bet, sir.
Thank you.